This is the countdown. This is the countdown to the Dan and Kody podcast. This is the countdown. This is the countdown. 20 seconds left until it starts. This is the countdown. This is the countdown to the Dan and Kody podcast. This is the countdown. This is the countdown. Get ready for it to take off.
Kody set me off today big time, with one little picture of a place that had a bunch of stickers all over it. And that is when I drew a line in the sand, I put my foot down, and I declared ultimate war on modern art. You want to bronze up a toilet and splatter paint all over it or stickers and place it on the sidewalk, go for it. But don't tickle my taint and call it art.
This is the Dan and Kody podcast.
This is it. Right here, Kody. You put on those headphones and you go to work.
Why are you yelling?
This is where our message is heard. It's time to get hype. Say it with me.
What are we saying?
Dan and Kody.
Dan and Kody.
Dan and Kody.
It's Dan and Kody podcast.
Dan and Kody podcast.
Dan and Kody podcast.
Get some.
Dan and Kody podcast.
Straight up.
You need to just step away, sir. Take a breath, all right?
I can't.
I don't understand why you are so upset. Why you, Dan Hill, the man of 1,000 things, has a problem with this guy that, okay, so essentially what this is they have these like rooms in this large space, and they built these flats, these walls, and they've turned everything into these rooms. And an artist gives you the opportunity to go in with stickers and place them all over the place. And you can go in and everybody else does it. And it creates this like really cool. And what you find is like community patterns are created. It's a lot like this idea that everybody created art via the community. But Dan is really mad about this.
You know what I'm going to get at?
All I did was send him the video and I said, this is cool. And then Dan decided to just vomit all over my messaging app with, this is garbage, don't tickle my taint. I would never tickle your taint. Okay?
That shit gets a slow Nancy Pelosi condescending clap, buddy. Oh, social patterns. This is called just full-on abuse of actual art. This is a hijacking of true art to create basically an Instagram haven of photo opportunities for these people to just place stickers everywhere, call it a social experiment, and then have everyone take photos of themselves and tag it on the grams of, oh, I'm in a place with a bunch of stickers on it. It ain't art. It ain't art. Wow. It's a scam. It is a sham. This is sham art. I'm telling you, all of this stuff.
Says the guy that owns like a bajillion Funko Pops, by the way. Says,
yeah.
He's calling this a scam, but Funko, oh no, man, that's just like, like I don't even understand how you can separate this in your own head.
It's a tangible Funko is a tangible thing that's been painted and sculpted and then packaged and sold as a commodity. This is
more beautiful and more organic than that. You're absolutely right. You want to hate it.
This is a public.
You hate it.
It's a public reach around.
How is it a public reach around? I don't understand that. If it is that everybody gets a satisfaction from it and everybody benefits from it, then yeah, it's the largest public reach around that everybody's excited for. Okay.
How much they charging to go in there with a pack of stickers and put them on the joint?
I don't know. I don't know, maybe $14. How much do your Funko Pops cost?
Oh, maybe $14.
Maybe $14. So like, even
Yeah.
if they do, like, you're gonna remember that over your 528th Funko Pop, Dan.
This is like when I was in college. I think I told this story before. I was in college. I had to take an art class, and I became my teacher's like comic relief to go to and ask if something was art or not. Most of the time, I said it was not because it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
I love that you claim that you perceive this as your teacher saying that Dan is this art and he's saying you're his comic relief, when in the reality of it, his elitist point of view was actually laughing, not because of the things you said, Dan, but because of the lack of, knowledge, insight, or thought behind any of the things that he was showing.
It's total
He was
bullshit.
laughing at you. He was
No.
not laughing with you, sir.
The days of Banksy and this weird like, oh, I'm gonna put this painting through a paper shredder and then sell the clippings, or I saw this a chick on OnlyFans is selling bags of her burps. Like, this sort of like whatever is art is no more, and I do not subscribe. Like I said, painting a toilet and sticking it in the woods is not art. It isn't,
dude.
It's not art.
It's like, whether it's art or not, it's no different than any hobby you have in collecting anything. It's no different. You want to knock it and bag it, but the truth of the matter is there is no difference between somebody appreciating that and you appreciating a Funko Pop, dude. There's none.
Bull. No, disagree.
None.
People make like brands like Supreme and these like even Crocs is doing these like crossovers with these other artists that make like skateboard decks, and they're like, oh, this is a one-off, and the motherfucker just took a Sharpie to the back and wrote his name really cool on it. Not art. If I dip this thing in some gold-plated like airbrush it like with polka dots and put it in a museum and sell it for $700, is that art? I'm here to tell you it ain't. But stop pretending that this type of shit is art, because it is not.
Well, I mean, to be fair, man, what you think is art and what somebody else thinks is art is what makes art art.
No way.
Yes.
No way.
Way. Yes. Way. I know you're not going to agree with that, buddy, but it's the truth.
I am the authority on what is art now. This is the war on modern art.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be much more aggressive with our swooshing tonight. It's all going to be a double tap, and should be pretty exciting. So, Dan, what's going on, man? Tell me. Aside from the fact that you're very upset, I see that the passion has risen within your soul. What's going on?
Nothing much. Santa Clarita is on fire yet again. Hooray. Did you see?
It's like, well, it looks like I am second guessing my home purchase.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's bad. It's bad, man. My mom even stopped texting me like, are you near the fires? Because there's just too many of them. There's too many to track.
Am I near them? Mom, I am completely surrounded by them. I don't know. Am I near them? Yeah, of course I'm near them. I'm outside right now with a beer and a hose. What do you think I'm doing?
Mom, I'm consumed by them.
Yes.
Can you share this, and we'll do a little share screen. I want to for the folks actually watching the live stream. This trailer came out for the horror Winnie the Pooh.
Okay.
I haven't seen it yet. I know you haven't seen it yet.
No, I almost clicked play on it though earlier. It's funny.
Let's.
So you want me to share the screen on this here?
Yeah, let's watch this with our live streamers.
Okay, here we go. Share. Here we go. And let's go ahead and make this big. And
First time.
Here we go.
You know, you're the first person I ever shown this place to.
And why am I so special?
Because soon we'll be Christopher and Mary Robin.
We should be close now.
We're not going to find them.
We will. Pooh, Piglet, Eeyore, we were friends for many years, and they're out there.
Christopher, we need to leave. Now.
I really need to find out what's happened to her, okay?
This place is kind of cool. Did you say it has a pool? We need to go. Laura's there. There's someone else outside. What was that?
We used to be friends. Why are you doing this, please? I would have never left, I swear, I swear.
Well, that was something else.
Look cheap.
It didn't look very. I mean, I think that they missed the boat on that trailer. I think they could have paid somebody to make a better trailer.
Yeah.
It was just like, I don't know. Like, I think it actually opened pretty good with the whole Christopher Robin element. Like, I thought that was good, but
yeah.
it was kind of, it was pretty much like it was actually not scary.
No, it wasn't that scary.
Yeah.
I maybe wanted to see a couple more, like show me Eeyore, show me
Yeah.
Tigger.
Yeah. I think you have to see there needed to be some like element. Maybe it was the music or the sound in it. Like they tried to make it scary, but it didn't hit. It just didn't hit. But
Yeah.
Leslie, you're right.
No.
It's a no.
It's a no.
No.
It's a no for me.
No, it's terrible.
It's kind of interesting to be playing on the whole
Well, Winnie the Pooh is officially in the public domain.
Is it?
I think as of this year. So
Doesn't Disney own it?
No, Disney has their version of Winnie the Pooh, but they don't own the original storylines to Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, so you can spin. I see. So you can spin Winnie the Pooh however you like now.
Right, exactly. Whereas before, like Disney owned the rights to Winnie the Pooh, but like, times passed, man. They lost it. It's done.
It's everybody's now.
It's everybody's for the most part.
And now we have horror Pooh.
Yeah.
Christopher Robin.
I would have liked to have what really would have made that is if you played on the innocence of Winnie the Pooh, and then you had like, Christopher, is that you? And then all of a sudden it's like,
Yeah.
like that would have made more sense. You like this guy in this terrible Winnie the Pooh mask. It's just not good.
Or like have someone like walking around in a tree where like Winnie lived, and then like have them like honey like start dripping on him, and like
Right.
honey.
Right. Like,
and then bees.
like honey, and then there's like, oh, that's funny.
Fucking bees are like stinging him to death.
Looks like I found new friends, Christopher Robin.
I'm so rumbly in my tumbly. He fucking eats them or something.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, well, not that interesting. Let's kill it.
Oh my god! It's interesting that you got onto this topic about Winnie the Pooh and the honey. Okay,
Yeah.
because as a matter of fact, I was having this conversation with somebody last week, and it was about this. Have you heard of this honey that is red? That is actually red
No.
honey. So
No.
so I work with this person, and she and her family, they're from Nepal, and apparently the bees, certain bees in Nepal, and coincidentally the Pacific Northwest, create a special kind of honey that is referred to as mad honey.
Mad honey.
And the stuff, it's red, it's not yellow, and it tastes bitter, but it is a powerful hallucinogen.
Whoa.
Yeah. So apparently you can buy this stuff online, and Vice did a whole thing on it, but it causes nausea, dizziness, vomiting. But because of its unique taste and look, it's highly unlikely that you would eat any of it by mistake, right?
Right.
But people pay a premium so that they can like get high. But apparently the psychoactive ingredient are the types of flowers that these particular bees, you know,
Or like pollinating.
are pollinated by. They're rhododendrons or whatever. So they're like these evergreen flowering plants that live in temperate mountainous areas, and they contain this chemical called granotoxins, and it's a neurotoxin. So, I mean, depending on the concentration, it can like totally mess you up. There's 25 different types of those granotoxins, and
So it's like trippy ass honey.
it is trippy ass honey. So
So if I
And-
made if I made like a peanut butter and honey sandwich with this honey, I would be like real banged up, right?
yeah, you'd be real banged up. Apparently, that this type of toxin, it can help with some things, but they don't have a lot of like they don't have a lot of studies done on it. But I
Not
mean,
enough data.
and there's not a lot of. Not only has there not been a lot of studies on it, it's kind of like wild highs. So it could be crazy, it could be intense, it could be really small, and it's also like toxins they don't really know. They don't know, the concentration of how much of the toxins in the honey varies.
Mm.
So anyway,
Dude.
it's kind of crazy, right?
Would you eat it? Would you eat some of it?
Probably.
Would you take a little drop?
Well, hallucinogens kind of make me really nervous. Like,
I would be scared to take it.
part of me would be kind of interested in doing like that whole ayahuasca trip, or even doing an LSD trip, because it from what I hear and what I've read is that a lot of it is like a psychological reset. It kind of resets your ability to take in information, and it's not that you relearn things, but how you take that information in is kind of reset. So like a lot of the biases that are ingrained over all the years of trauma that you experience kind of reset. Doesn't mean the trauma is not there. It just means that now you kind of take that on in a different way, and you kind of,
I'm with you. Like, I'm intrigued by it, but I'd be very, very scared to do it, because what if you reset, but then some of your like core beliefs and things change during that experience, that trip, and then you immediately like spiral into this like, I'm not me, and I'm getting rid of stuff I used to really like I don't want to change, you know what I mean? What if you were like, oh, I don't see the point of what do you call it, monogamy?
well, no,
Like,
I think
fuck it, let's fuck everybody.
I think there's elements to that, right? Like a part of me and the fear of that would be like, I put a certain weight on my family in how I value them. And if I go through one of these trips, what if I come out of the trip and I'd be like, I don't understand. Like, this idea of family is a social construct. Why am I even interested in that? And exactly right. What if it is a bad reset? And that's it.
Yeah.
That's the idea. Like it changes your perspective, not for the better. I
Yeah,
can
what if
understand if you're if you're rock bottom, right? Like you're a heavy addict, you're into all kinds of drugs. There's nowhere to go but up, buddy. You
Yeah,
know?
what if you reset and you're like, crime is dope. Like and
Sure.
you just go on like a fucking, or like life doesn't matter and you go on like a murder spree. Or
I
like you're
totally
just
understand what Carl Sagan meant when he said we're the little blue dot in space, and it's like we are insignificant in the scope of the universe.
yeah. Or even like, let's not even be so extreme. Like even like a minor reset and tweak of like murders not off the table, you know? Like
Well,
like
you
that's
know,
it. That's
yeah,
your reset.
yeah.
Yeah, you're more inclined to kill at some time, you know?
I
That'd
mean,
be pretty bad.
it's hard for me to imagine that these don't reset values, right? They don't
Yeah.
reset values. What they do is they reset your ability to process the information. They don't reset values, and that's, I mean, again, I don't know if that's true. I don't want that to be true. I wouldn't, like, if you're happy with your values and the
Yeah.
way you approach things, that's great. But I mean, it's always good to get a different perspective. It's always good to kind of take
100%.
a look. And if you feel, I personally think if you personally feel that you're locked in a place in your life and you need something to kind of like just shift it a little, shift it a
Yeah.
little.
I
I'd
mean,
try it.
I have no qualms about divulging that like I've been dipping into the marijuana more and more, and it has helped me significantly with like taking a step back and like thinking about things that I stress over in a different light and like retooling that. Just like looking at, makes me look at something from like a different perspective.
You know,
And that's always good.
Well, I had this woman come in yesterday to my work, and she was picking up this thing. And most cases with that part of my job, it's like, here you go, have a great day, hope you enjoy it, whatever. And
Yeah.
they like, but she started asking me questions, and I started asking her questions, and we got in this whole conversation that lasted like 45 minutes.
Wow.
We started talking about stuff like this.
Isn't that awesome?
It's the best. Like, it was, I love it when that happens. And it's interesting because like she told me she worked for Showtime, and she was a acquisitions executive. So she would bring in programming years ago to Showtime.
Cool.
And she doesn't do that anymore. She doesn't really work anymore. And she said that, you know, it was really, we got into this whole conversation. She's like, there used to be a point where I'd get so stressed that it would like freeze me. And she said, and I learned this thing where the reality is, and she's like, I learned it in grad school. And it's this idea that, you know, nothing you can do about the past, you can change, right? So we can sit and stew about what we can't do, or we can sit and stew about what could happen. But the truth of the matter is like the only thing you're experiencing is this moment.
Yeah.
Right. And like, you can't worry about what happened yesterday, and you can't change what happened yesterday, and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Dude,
so like you like sitting in your car, like if you're freaking out about work, and she was giving this example, you're freaking out about work, you're just working, like you're in traffic right now. That's it. That's what you're experiencing. That's your life right now.
yeah. It's funny, like I would talk to Joe Merle from those movie guys a lot about this sort of thing, and he said something that has just stuck with me forever, is that like in those moments where you're thinking about what could happen, what is happening, and like you start creating these like alternate universes and going down these paths, he said like you're not alive at that moment. You're just not even alive right then. So it's like you cannot do that to yourself. You have to like incoming thought, and then it's gone. You have to like just be gone with it, because you're not living.
Right.
And the stresses you're putting your mind through are real in those moments. So
Sure.
like when you're imagining that shit, you're taking it on as if it's happening, and
Right.
there's no difference.
Yeah.
So you're like you're like mentally exhausting yourself for nothing. So yeah, no, that's cool. Back to the hallucinogens though. There have been people who have said that in those trips they've lived like full lifetimes.
Full
And
life.
like yeah, like they've come back and been like, I was a fucking person. I had a life. I went to college. I lived like 57 years in that trip. Had a family. Like they
Right.
just like they learned like a whole new life.
That's interesting. Like the whole Star Trek episode where Picard ends up, living a whole life and comes back, and it was all in a split second. You want to know what my theory is on like the whole grand idea of the universe? It's that this idea that the universe was created in a split second. The reality is the existence of the universe is a split second. But we happen to be in that bubble of the whole existence of time, right? So it's just like they talk about the Big Bang, but the reality is it's almost like the Big Bang has happened, and because of the creation of the universe, that creation of the universe in the scale of the grand size of what the universe is instantaneous.
Yeah.
But because we're here, because we're in that bubble, to us we feel like we have this perception of what time is. But the reality is it's instantaneous. All of this is instantaneous. And I know it's like hard to kind of wrap even my head around, but I believe it's all instantaneous on the scale of everything. And universes are coming in and out of reality, or in and out of space. Like our universe is just one of like 1,000 that have just exploded, came and gone in an instant in the grander scale of things.
That's so nuts.
That's my take with no math, science, anything. That's just my theory. That's not even theoretical. That's a hypothesis that is untestable, ladies and gentlemen. Untestable.
I, for one, just can't wait to spend the rest of it with my eyes glued to an Oculus, a meta quest.
Ooh,
just lock me the fuck in.
What are you talking about, Dan? What do you mean? So obviously, I reached out to you, or you reached out to me asking about Zuckerberg and, everybody's favorite local podcaster, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I was listening to a little show. You might have heard of it. It's got a couple of followers at this point. The Joe Rogan Experience.
Yes.
Say what you want about Joe Rogan. I listen when he has a guest that I'm interested in hearing what they have to say, because, whether you like him or not, those long open forum conversations are a space where you can really sort of gauge who somebody is.
Yeah, you get a sense to know who someone is, and if they're willing to like step away from that whole way of PR and those controlled moments. Because let's admit it, we're in a world of sound bites, right? Everybody's got these 15 to 30-second little clips of what they say, and those people are immediately judged off of those things, and then you say you know those people.
Like I don't think I've ever heard Mark Zuckerberg speak for even 5 minutes, not as like the rep or like marketing to me, something about like Facebook or like at a Senate hearing or whatever fuck those things are that he's at.
Or trying to show you that he's like everybody else and he barbecues.
Right, with a Sweet Baby Ray's. I'm gonna get my Sweet Baby Ray's and put some Sweet Baby Ray's on my Sweet Baby Ray's.
Oh wow! Never had this. Is my secret sauce, Sweet Baby Ray's.
I love just slow cooking sweet baby rays. Uh, but like he, I from that podcast, like I at first I was against like all like Meta and was kind of like done with Facebook and sort of on the verge of, I don't know, just kind of trying to phase out Facebook. But like
Sure.
I genuinely am more interested in this the Meta Quest head, headset,
Experience. Yeah.
that experience, and what I got from, I mean, it was like a 3-hour podcast, but from what I got from it is that Mark Zuckerberg and Meta are not trying to replace human interaction. They're just trying to, he is genuinely coming from a place of I want to help people connect. That's the mission of all of this stuff, is to help people connect with each other.
Right.
And I can get down with that. Like there's a lot of folks who, and he had, there was so many good points. Like when you're on a FaceTime, when you're doing these kind of Zoom calls and things, like, yes, you can see the person, but a lot of the times you're looking at yourself and it's not, and you're not actually connecting. So with the headset and like having, like it doesn't replace human interaction. It's not like, it doesn't mimic like an actual conversation.
That's basically what he's saying. He's saying this allows it to be a much more personal experience. Whereas one of the big problems we have right now is that we are so divided because we're unwilling to, because again, what kind of comes back to this quick bites.
Yeah.
You're making quick assumptions. You're not fully hearing people out. But when you're face to face with somebody, you acknowledge them as a person. And
Right.
on the internet, you don't have to acknowledge anybody as anything.
Right.
And that's a reach for me in that description though, Dan. I still think you as a person digitally, it's you like connecting on a human level. I just don't, there's something that you're not going to replace. You're not going to replace it.
It's not there yet. Like you can't have a barbecue with 5 of your buds in this space yet and have it feel real. Like you can't have that yet.
Right.
But I mean, for right now, like exercise is great on these things. Like the exercise workouts and programs and like that sort of augmented reality is enough for me to even be like, yeah, I would like to buy one of those and like do workouts shit on there. And apparently like meetings are better on there because you're not looking at you when you have the headset on. You're looking at the person. So you're making more eye contact than you would in a Zoom call.
And I'm assuming they're doing tests with this as well.
Yeah.
Like they're like, from what I've heard too, one of the big pieces that Facebook has done and Microsoft and Google and all these guys that are dealing with the headset element or getting into this Web 3.0 stuff is they're hiring psychologists and people that run studies on this stuff to kind of understand what makes somebody click something, be more involved in it, but also understanding human interaction, because that's also a way for them to kind of like generate income, because they want to know like what your vices are and how to get you to do something, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, money
is
definitely a motivator
element, but yeah, money is definitely a motivator. I think with like Mark Zuckerberg, I mean, he's spending like $5 billion a quarter on this stuff.
Yeah. And they talked about that too. Like he himself is gotten to a place where like his motivator is not necessarily money. Cause I mean, look at him. Like he's not like what is money at that point when he's got billions. But so he's looking more at his life as like what projects will be valuable to him long term. Like thinking in like 10-year clusters. It was like 5 or 10-year clusters of like what can I actually do on this planet that will be of use for me, that will motivate me to do well.
He is exactly my age. We were born the same year. We were born like I am a month and a half. I'm a month and a half older than him.
Wow.
Like
and look at you.
He's worth billions.
But and the other thing that they were talking about was, Joe was trying to like, ask him some sort of tough questions about like algorithms and like shadow banning people on Facebook and if that's a real thing and like why can't some people see what I post and why can other people see more, always see the same thing, yada yada yada. And the response there was like, well, like why not have just a free forum where what you see is what gets posted basically in real time.
Right.
And the argument, well, the rebuttal there, was that well, you would have companies and businesses gaming that system and they would post nonstop every second because they'd want to be at the top of the feed. So you have to limit that by some sort of algorithm. Like the money
that's such a cop though. That's such a cop out in that I can have a personal feed that you run always that's up to date. That is
real time, my friends.
Yes, exactly. Like real time, my friends, or even, and I'm okay with like you saying like ancillary people that make sense to me. But that doesn't mean that like you can have an algorithm that does that, but you don't need an algorithm that continues to throw the same kind of shit, not the same people. It's different. Like if I'm sent the same message over and over and over again, that's basically what he's saying this prevents. But the reality is that algorithm is not preventing that. It's actually doubling down on it, right?
I also may not be relaying, everything correctly because I was doing the dishes and living my life while listening to this.
Well, and it's a really long conversation. Like, what do you like? Your ability to comprehend and then expel all of that information in 5 minutes is not realistic.
Yeah, but like this was, he seemed so much more like a human that it was refreshing that and that he is not a robot and not just so much different than Elon. I just see I see way more of a pompous, holier than thou vibe from Elon versus Zuckerberg. 100%.
There's a degree of like, I think spectrum.
Yeah.
I actually think Mark Zuckerberg is probably a genius, right?
Yeah.
And I imagine that Elon Musk is a genius, but I think the difference is the degree of spectrum. I think Elon is much more on like that, working spectrum. He has social, social walls that are harder for him to overtake. Whereas Zuckerberg he's more intentional in what he says and he's more guarded in what he says because he's also much more aware of, the social cues.
I think Elon is way more concerned with being cool than Zuckerberg.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I think that's why he always claps back on Twitter, flexing that he's gonna buy this, buy that, making like weird jokes.
Did they talk about Elon Musk?
Not a lot, no.
But he was brought up.
I think he was brought up, yeah.
Right.
And they talked about like Twitter and how, and like even, the politics involved with the whole like Biden laptop and all this stuff, and how how Facebook got tipped off on like, hey, there's gonna be some shit coming down the pipe that might be complete bullshit about the election, and like they did slow that down. They saw that story come through and they slowed it down. And from what I didn't keep up with that story, but I think from what we now know, there was a little bit of truth to that laptop thing. So hindsight was, it probably shouldn't have been throttled back as much as they did. And but I mean, Zuckerberg's whole thing was like, we don't want to be like the gatekeepers of like information. They don't want to be the police of it. But and I know, like, unfortunately,
Like,
hey, you are.
Like, yeah, buddy, it's like that's an unintended.
You are though. Yeah.
That's an unintended consequence of being a platform that has, what is it, 4 billion users?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
they're like, we don't want.
That's your responsibility, whether you want it or not. It's part of the package, buddy.
Right. But even he acknowledged that, like, look, I make mistakes, and I'm hiring people that, like, they spent $5 billion in like defense, like, of like Facebook, and like the authenticity of like fake accounts, like bot accounts, like apparently like millions of like Christian like accounts on Facebook were all like bullshit from like just fake shit. And it's like they were talking about like, well, like, we can clamp down on it, but what he hates is like kicking people off that get like swept in with those accounts,
right?
And like making that mistake. So you have to. It's all like a throttle. Like, do you throttle it up or throttle it back? And when you throttle it back, you're gonna have some fake bullshit,
right?
And
right.
like all this stuff. So I mean, it really humanized him, and it made me really think that like Meta and the Meta Quest and like Mark Zuckerberg in general is a genuinely like it all, like I feel like he comes from a place of conviction, and those convictions are like out of like the desire to make humans connect with each other, not better, but in like different ways. Like,
right.
I don't think he wants to. He was like, I don't want to replace like going to your friend's house.
Sure.
Like, we still want people to do that. We want people to surf. We want people to go have excursions and things. But this is also cool. I mean,
I think it's super cool, and I think
Yeah.
that it's the natural evolution of where this goes, right? I believe that that's where the natural evolution is. And, you're going to have a group of people that are going to say, well, it's unnatural. But the reality is it's not unnatural to want to connect with people in the same group. And what this type of thing does is it removes the distance element.
Right.
It actually allows you to connect on a much more personal level. It's not the same as in person. It's not. It's just not going to be. But the truth is, it's really cool because it gives you the opportunity to essentially get in the same room and kind of have that moment with somebody. And like, you think about the way social media is now.
Like, dude, you could get to that wedding. You could get to that funeral. You could get to that.
Within reason, but yes.
Within reason, but yeah, I mean,
within digital reason, not within real life reason. Like, I guess it's that idea of like, if you really show up to something in person, there's really something to say about that. But I think that's the case today.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, people live stream their weddings now, and they like, you can do that. I mean, I was really sad to miss my aunt's funeral, but they recorded it. I was able to sort of, kind of be there and connect, but it just sucks. Like if you had some, if you could throw on the Meta Quest and go there,
Did they talk? Because I don't have Spotify, so I can't listen to it. And I've also made the stance that I don't care who it is. I won't listen to Joe Rogan.
Right.
But did
That's
they
fine.
did they discuss the idea of like a space, like a room with MetaQuest in these worlds, and the idea like, are they going to be able to essentially create an immediate 3D makeup of a room where somebody's at and everybody can join into that room? Did they talk about that?
Yeah. Like I think I think he brought Joe a like a headset, like a prototype that they did fencing on it,
Right.
in the same room, but not even facing each other. They
Yeah.
fenced each other, and that's fucking cool. Like if you could work out with a bunch of like your buddies, like from around, like all around. I don't know. It could be really cool.
I mean, you're still gonna
really,
have
really
the same
cool.
constraints as everybody else. Like you all have to be available to do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and like yes, I get it, but it's that same idea of like, do you work out now? No. Is this going to make you work out more? Probably not.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Maybe in
look,
the short term, but not in
this
the
thing.
long term. Like that's all habitual, man. You got to build that
Are
up.
we're not asking Meta to create the desire to work out. Like
Not
this.
yet. Not yet.
This is like a requisite to enjoying virtually working out is
Yeah.
desiring to work out.
For sure.
But and then they were talking about they got really like technical too about like, well, we played with the idea of when you put on like the glasses, like you being able to see your entire arm and your hand, but the technology isn't there to where your brain, if you just see your hands, it's not better than seeing your full arm, but from your shoulder to your wrist, if that is somehow out of place when you're moving it in this virtual space, that will freak you out more than just seeing your hands, because your brain can basically fill in the gap.
Right.
So,
That makes sense. It's
so like
interesting.
if you see your elbow over here, you're out of it. But
Right.
if you just saw your hand here, you could imagine basically the rest of your arm,
Well,
which I
for the
thought was
most
pretty
part,
cool.
we don't ever think about like checking out our arms, right? Like when you go to pick up a cup of coffee,
Right.
you go to
They're
pick up
not
a
there.
cup, you're not thinking about your arm. Like I
Like
literally
where
have to stop myself to be like, oh, there's my arm. By the way, my hand looks huge to the rest of my body.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But if that arm in the virtual space is out of position in any way, you're gonna notice that way more than just
Right.
seeing your hand there. So it's
Yeah.
not gonna freak you out as much.
In a strange
Yeah.
way, what you have to do is you have to provide the extremities you have to make them so invisible, yet simultaneously make them functional and as if they're already there.
Right.
It's an odd thing, right? Like from a first person point of view, I don't ever think about, like I never look at my hands. It's such
Yeah.
an odd thing.
And then with these, like with the AR and glasses that they want to like at some point get to, like just walking
Yeah.
around, they're
Yeah.
like, it's not going to be like this Minority Report thing where you're like walking to work and you're tweaking all this stuff with your hands all over the place, because your arms would get tired all day doing
Right.
that.
Right.
So it's gonna have. He was like, there's gonna need to be a
Some kind
way.
of neural link or some kind of eye movement stuff.
Yeah, Neuralink, eye movement stuff, and like quick basically quick keys with your fingers basically at like your side. So you could answer a text like through your glasses while also having a conversation. And like Joe was like, I don't know, I don't like that sort of interruption in my day. If I'm talking to someone, then I'm getting like a text from like my wife and my glasses, and I gotta like respond. And it was like, well, I mean, it's more of a disruption when you get it from the when you get it from the phone. You pull it out, you stop the conversation. So it's like this would help you kind of connect better with the person that you're with.
Absolutely.
If you can quick key with your hand, like, hey, I'm at dinner, and that goes away much faster than pulling out the phone, halting this conversation, sending the text to the wife. So I mean, it was pretty interesting, man. I don't know. I'm kind of like,
I might have to borrow my wife's Spotify just to listen to this. The only time I really ever want to listen to Joe Rogan is when he's talking to somebody that I'm super interested in hearing talk, or it's about UFOs. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
Like you got a guest on that's like an expert in UFOs. I'll listen to that shit. Or
and to be fair, it's mostly Zuckerberg talking, which is what I liked. You know.
Right.
I just want to hear. I want like it was very cool to see like where he wants this to go, and how like how much you can improve on just life.
You see what Easton wrote? The only time I will listen to Joe Rogan is on an old episode of Fear Factor.
Relax, Easton. I mean, I just want, and now I'm like, dude, I gotta buy the fucking Meta Quest. So like Oculus is like Facebook bought the Oculus, right?
Yeah, that's correct. They bought the company Oculus, correct?
So now it's rebranded. It's the same headset, but it's rebranded Meta Quest.
Yeah. Yes. Well,
Okay.
It's not the same headset. This is like the fourth iteration or something like that. You had the Oculus, you had the Oculus 2, and then you had the Quest, and now we have the second Quest or whatever. And then they're coming out with a new one apparently this fall.
Oh, that one I think is going to be like the G.
That's because what's happening is it's reported that Apple is likely going to release their first headset either this spring or next fall, and they're talking like a $2,000 headset.
But I mean, the thing is though, like I get it, like Apple makes great like tech products, but if the creator of Facebook and owner of Instagram also have their own headset, that integration of those products is going to be way better, I feel.
It's about adoption. And truth be it, like it's all going to come down to adoption, and that's what's going to lead how these companies end up creating user experiences that everybody want to experience. Yes, if you're on Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, then Meta is, they're building it around a lot of those applications.
Right.
But if they are unusable, it's not going to matter. Right. So like, it's just like the reason
like Google Pixel has the most purest Android
experience. But the truth of the matter is like, who set the standard for all of that? It was Apple. It was the iPhone. I'm not saying that Apple and iPhone are going to do that. And let's be honest, like VR and AR headsets have been around since the 80s.
Yeah.
So like, this is not a new technology. However, the technology has progressed to a point where it is actually useful. Good night, Easton. Be safe, lady.
Love you, Easton.
But it is not, we're at a point where we're going to start seeing this technology just start to just blow up. And Jaron Lanier, and I know I've mentioned him on the podcast before, but Jaron Lanier is this futurist type of a guy who's been in Silicon Valley for years and years. And now he's kind of like this philosophical tech head that talks about like how it can actually benefit the world. And he's been in VR since the 80s. And he's worked for Microsoft, and he's had a hand in a lot of this stuff. And even he said like the benefits that this could provide would be pretty incredible, but that's not And he says he doesn't view it as it actually replacing real experience. He says it's essentially, in a way, kind of enhancing your ability to appreciate the experience outside of it more so.
Right.
Anyway.
And then the last thing I'll say about it, they were discussing like where people's time goes to now, and there's still a massive, like, I think still the leader of time suck is TV. So like you
You mean
wouldn't,
streaming in general?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
So because they were like, well, this is going to, it's going to make people do less, and it's like we're going to be eating into TV. That's where the headset, the Meta Quest, is going to be taking time from, not your outside activity.
I think we're already seeing that happen, right? I think
Yeah.
TikTok, like that short form video stuff, that's already sucking people's time away from television, from reading,
Yeah.
from everything else. But the medium in which we experience everything, I was reading, and I have to suggest this book to everybody. There's an author, his name is Neil Postman. He's from the 80s. He's kind of he's this anti-technology guy, but he was a media theorist and cultural critic who just hated tech. And he wrote this book in 85 called Amusing Ourselves to Death. And it's this incredible take on how technology and the medium of which we take in media is what shapes our communities. It's what shapes our take on the world. And he's saying that it's actually destroying us.
Mm.
And it's amazing to hear his point of view. You can tell he just and he wrote this in 85 before the internet. I mean, he wrote this when TV was kind of like cable television was just kicking off the ground and people were like watching loads of cable television. And he just hates on it. And he uses examples throughout time to when media changed and it created and it actually caused problems. He said the age of the printing press allowed it for people to be able to read excess amounts of all kinds of things, and actually people were smarter. They were able to process information more. And he uses examples of the way people would write and the way they would speak in the 1800s versus how people would write and speak in like the 80s.
Yeah.
And he's explaining a lot of that is because of the way that they would take in information. They would actually think, they would speak in the way they would write because they realized they had to express themselves and be able to project their ideas in written form. And then he used this example of saying, how now we take reading comprehension tests to see how much we comprehend when we read.
Yeah.
He's like, in the 1850s, that's a crazy test because you like reading comprehension. That's the only way you were learning something aside from being taught something directly. It's not television where it's like these pretty pictures and these quick images and you don't need the comprehension. Like when you would read, you remembered.
That is comprehension.
That is comprehension. Like reading comprehension is a crazy idea now relative to what it was 150 years ago. Anyway.
Yeah.
Neil Postman, Amusing Ourselves to Death. Check it out. It's pretty bonkers, but.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Well, Dan, what are you
Loving it. Oh man, that went quick.
We're deep.
We were deep in it, man.
Yeah.
We got a message on here that I wanted to share from Leslie. She said, "Gotta go to bed, guys. Just dropped in to remind you that tomorrow, for everybody, it's the last day to vote on the Voice Your Vows Dogs contest."
Ooh, that's
okay?
right. That's right.
All right. And so when you do that, then me and Kody they pull the top 10 out of those votes, and then me and Kody are gonna judge those top 10 with our other fellow judges.
Yes, we will.
So get
Dan.
on there, voiceyourvows.com, and vote for your favorite dog that has voiced their vow the best.
Do it.
And then
2 days, 35 minutes, 23 seconds left. Get in there. They partner with Pet Supplies Plus, minus the hassle. Pet Supplies was founded in 1988 in Redford, Michigan. Privately held pet supply retailing corporation. Check them out.
Can we play a dog who's voiced their vows? We share a screen.
Yeah, let's share a screen. We got Roscoe gets married, so we can share this one. Let's do this here. Hold on one moment.
Yeah, we're gonna. They're going for the record largest dog wedding.
Here we go. Getting big.
Let's.
Here, let's
Oh, who is this?
This is the entrance name is Tom Cavalli. He's in Florida. Their pet's name's Roscoe. Roscoe is always up for adventure. He enjoys going for car rides. He's always up for a trip to the Parker Beach, and he loves to chase lizards. At home, you'll find him napping back and forth in his parents' office. In the evening, his favorite treat is a pup cup, and Roscoe would be honored to represent all dogs with his picture on the NASDAQ billboard in Times Square. See you in the Big Apple, Roscoe. Let's hear what you got to say. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Look at Roscoe. He's committed.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to join these dogs in holy matrimony.
Wow.
Roscoe, will you love, honor, and take long walks in the park?
I'm
Will you
getting
share
emotional.
Treats and squeaky toys.
Wow.
By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you married. You may now sniff each other.
Wow, look at that.
Oh boy.
Wagon right there. Look at that. Just married. It's a beautiful thing, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Roscoe.
Nice.
That was beautiful.
I would have liked to hear something from the bride. You know?
The bride was, stuffed. And that wasn't a sexual statement.
Oh, that wasn't a real dog next to
That
him?
was a stuffed dog that was next to him, but dogs don't need a real dog to find love, Dan.
See, for me, if I was judging that one, if that one made the top 10, I'd ding him for not a real dog, dog, and no voice from the bride.
Okay.
I ding that one. So
All right, so that's those are Dan's standards on the way he's going to do it. I'm going to have my own standards for these dog weddings. Obviously, originality has to be one. Whether or not the dogs truly love each other, I think that's got to be one of it. And then, of course, owners' ability to let go of their dog.
I'm concerned with the voice. I want to hear the voice of the dog. All I heard was two little barks. That was way more. But kudos for
dogs don't talk, Dan. This isn't look who's talking dog style.
I want to hear the human said the vows in that one. I want the dog to voice their vows.
You want written. So you're not saying you want Homeward Bound. You're saying you just want the howl of, you want them to express themselves in whichever way they possibly can.
Yeah, I want yelps. I want cries.
Okay. Well, and ladies and gentlemen, you guys can vote 2 days. You got 2 days left to get out and vote. And where do they go again, Dan?
VoiceYourVows.com.
VoiceYourVows.com. Check it out. Well, all right, guys. Thank you so much for checking us out this week. Dan, you got any thoughts before we say goodnight?
I love you all. Come join me in the metaverse, baby. Thanks for listening and laughing with the Dan and Kody podcast. Our email is danandcodypodcast@gmail.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We are on Instagram at Dan Kody Podcast. Check out our website, danandcody.com, and you can contribute to the podcast by going to patreon.com/Dan Kody Podcast.
Subscribe, bitch.
Everybody played themselves down to shit. Whoa, right.